Hello, everyone. This is Sidra from the Chatham Kent Family Health Team, and today we are going to delve into a topic that affects everyone: our sleep. What is it? Why is it so important? And what can we really do to help ourselves with our sleep? Our focus today will be the elderly population, so 65 plus, but much of this is applicable to others across all ages. So let's get right into it and look at some myths. First myth is that sleep troubles are a normal part of aging. However, the real truth is that as we age, sleep patterns change, but the amount of sleep we generally need does not. So, on average, people over the age of 65 generally need between 6.5 to 8 hours of sleep. As we age, there are definitely some changes in our sleep architecture. So, things like age related sleep changes, like sleeping later or having decreased slow wave sleep, having an advanced sleep phase, so meaning sleepiness earlier on in the evening, or decreased slow wave sleep, all of which result in fragmented sleep. According to Stats Canada, seniors average about 7.2 hours of sleep a night. However, 1 out of 3 average fewer than 7 hours, so that's quite a few people not necessarily getting an adequate amount of sleep that they might need. Well, sleep supports a wide range of functions. Insufficient sleep is associated with a range of diseases, including obesity and cardiovascular disease, chronic pain, depression, anxiety, irritability, and overall reduced well being. So, in terms of sort of our general health, sleep definitely supports a multitude of functions in our body. It also impacts our cognitive functioning and, in particular, memory. So, studies have shown that attentiveness and sleep are related. So, sleep also has an impact on memory consolidation. And finally, sleep supports emotional regulation. So, nighttime sleep will affect your daytime mood, emotional reactivity, and the capacity to regulate positive and negative emotions. And conversely, daytime experiences possibly can affect sleep. So, there's two key areas of the brain that are involved in sort of that emotional regulation piece, which include the amygdala and the prefrontal cortex. So, all in all, sleep really enables the appropriate and optimal functioning of a multitude of sort of your body functions. So now that we've sort of generally gotten an idea of sleep and sort of what it is, what are sort of the mechanisms that are involved in sleep regulation? So the first myth is that laying in bed, even if you can't sleep, will definitely help. But real truth is that laying in bed, even if you can't sleep, affects your sleep drive. And we're going to talk about sleep drive and how that impacts sort of your sleep regulation. So there's two main processes involved in sleep. You have your process S and you have your process C. So your process C is sort of that circadian rhythm, your body clock that's really affected by the amount of endogenous melatonin. So the amount of melatonin that you produce in your body, as well as sort of the daytime and your nighttime cycle. So sort of that response to light or the absence of light. And that's sort of seen in that green. And you also have sort of your homeostatic sleep drive, which is associated with sort of this buildup of these chemicals that are sleep inducing. So, examples of that could be adenosine, for instance. And really, they reach a peak point after which you have sort of that real drive to want to go to sleep. But if we're looking at sleep drive, really, what is sleep drive and how does that impact the quality of sleep that an individual can have? So, in terms of sleep drive, it's, I guess, the analogy that we can really think of as sort of a balloon. There are certain activities that you do to really inflate the balloon or inflate that sleep drive so that nighttime comes around. The ability to sleep for an individual, that drive and that desire to go to sleep, it's quite high. So that sleep, it really enables you to go to sleep. So there's certain things that can impact your sleep drive, which includes things like physical inactivity, overextending time in bed, daytime napping, for instance. So really, sleep restriction therapy can help build that sleep drive process. So when you're doing the three things that I mentioned, for instance, these can deflate that balloon, deflate that sleep drive, and that ability to sleep when you go to bed at nighttime. So really something to consider in terms of, when you think about how can I modify my sleep so that the quality of sleep that I have is the best that it can be. The second part is sort of this idea of social jet lag. I know a lot of people engage in this, including myself, and I try not to sometimes, but really having that variation between that weekday and that weekend, going to bed and waking up time, because it really disrupts sort of your body clock, yeah, that natural rhythm of sleep that you have going on during the week. Okay, so we've talked about sleep regulation now. We're going to move into sort of sleep disruptors, and really looking at things that should be taken into consideration when thinking what can impact my sleep, what am I taking outside of sort of, water, for instance, and it really kind of delves into this idea of caffeine and smoking and other things. So the myth that's associated with this is that your brain and body can learn to function just as well with less sleep. But the real truth is that restricting sleep, particularly for a really long period of time or a prolonged period of time, can cause sustained deficits in performance. So there are key disruptors of sleep that we think about, and I kind of alluded to those when I said, caffeine and smoking and other things. So in terms of smoking, it is associated with a poor quality of sleep. You also have caffeine, which has been shown to reduce sleep time and worsen perceived quality of sleep. Then you also have medications, and medications that could be impacting your sleep, particularly those that you take at nighttime, because some of them could possibly be activating. So, really have a conversation with your healthcare provider and see, are there any medications that are impacting my sleep? And if so, can we modify their schedules? It's definitely a conversation starter. Okay, so we've talked about all these things, and I know that I mentioned lots of material, but really let's put it together. We know that sleep is important for our daily functioning and overall health and well being, but there's really some key behaviors that we can do um, to implement so that it can actually impact and enable us to get that major quality of sleep that we're looking for. So I've seen and I've heard this from patients when they come in, and they think that there really is nothing that I can do to help with my sleep, but there are interventions that can help, and we're going to look into them. So the first thing is to schedule a wind down time. So what does a wind down time mean? So basically, this is about an hour before you go to sleep. It's this time of relaxation, and doing activities that will enable that relaxation. So for instance, an hour before, we really want to pair activities that are specific to sort of or closer to this idea of sleep than you would, particularly, for instance, in comparison to um, other activities that you would do throughout the day. So example of this is that, for instance, taking a warm bath or a hot shower, changing into your pajamas, reading. I know some patients also do yoga and meditation, so that definitely helps as well. In other activities that you feel will relax you, that you feel will enable you to go to sleep. Um, so, doing those activities and engaging in those, particularly at nighttime, to really relax your mind and get it ready for bed is a great idea, and definitely within that wind down time is something to consider. Now, avoiding daytime napping. So, again, we talked about this idea of sleep drive and how that's impacted. So, that balloon of sleep drive, that desire to go to sleep, will sort of deflate if you have daytime napping. So, really avoiding that to ensure that sleep drive for the nighttime is maintained, so that you have that quality of sleep at nighttime. And limiting caffeine and smoking, particularly during nighttime. So, if you are someone that likes to drink coffee at nighttime, for instance, possibly switching to decaffeinated, or to switch sort of that time and try to drink it earlier on so that you don't have a lot of that stimulant activity in your within you if you feel like that's impacting your sleep. One interesting concept is that if you can't sleep, but you're tossing and turning and you feel like you're tired but you're not sleepy, because there's a difference between the two. Sleepiness is, you're rolling your eyes backward, you're really closing your eyes, you're ready to just basically go to sleep. That's when you're feeling sleepy. Um, if you're not feeling sleepy, for instance, go outside, get out of the bed, and really engage in activities that are going to enable you to go to sleep. So, for instance, activities that you do during your wind down time. So, whether that be reading or yoga or meditation or something that's going to enable you as an individual to relax and get into that state of sleep is definitely something that you can try until you are ready to go to sleep, until you feel sleepy. Do not go back to your bed because we really do not want to pair tossing and turning and restlessness with the idea of bed. So that's really important. That's a key reminder. So if you can't sleep, get out of your bed, and go and engage in activities that are going to help you go to sleep. And the last thing is to use the bed only for sleeping. So we really want to pair sleep with your bed so that your mind has this perception of sleep, or, really that sort of perception of sleep as you kind of head to bed. So, we've talked about all these things and these action key plans that you can um, really change and modify in terms of your own sleep cycles. But what sorts of resources are there out there in sort of the digital world that you can use um, to kind of really fine tune some of the things to really get you that best quality of sleep? And I have a couple of these books and apps, and again, I'm not sponsored by any company or anything like that. This is just as a resource and as a tool for all of you to really be able to see the things that are available. So, Dr. Colleen Carney has come out with a book. It's Quiet Your Mind and Get to Sleep, and I've also included a link. And it's really great because it's a workbook for you to work through your sleep problems and um, be able to educate yourself on sort of the modifying behaviors as well as really understanding your own sleep cycle. And CBTI Coach is also an app that's designed by Dr. Colleen Carney that has things like reminders and sleep prescriptions and other things that are going to enable you to really optimize that sleep time. There's also other ones like Sleepio, Slumber Pro, Meditation Oasis, Sleep Training System, and Shut Eye, which are paid apps. So again, it really depends on your own affordability, the user friendliness of those. I haven't really reviewed any of them per se, but if you feel like something else might work for you, definitely. These are just some of the resources to get started on. Other than that, this is sort of the end of our talk. Please like, subscribe, and share. We want to really use this platform to empower our patients and, just the regular population. So if you're interested in any sort of idea or any sort of disease state that you really want us to explore, please put that under the comments section and we will definitely get to it as soon as possible. I hope you enjoyed it. And, just to end off, I just wanted to give sort of the credit to the graphics team. And yeah, so I hope you guys have a lovely day wherever you are. And we look forward to making more videos for you guys and look forward to hearing comments and to see sort of what your take is on this topic of sleep. And thank you so much. And signing out, this is Sidra.